Grace Family Love Podcast. It seems kind of strange to say that. It's been a while, but here we are.
So for those that are just listening in and not watching it through Facebook or YouTube, the setup is a little bit different. I'm like in a big old egg chair. Joe has like a swivelly chair, and it's just half of our stuff's gone. We've been going through quite a process. So what I wanted to talk about is just mindset, because one of the things that I've been noticing, and I've been talking to couples and people lately, is that sometimes you get overwhelmed because you're not where you want to be like yesterday, and that necessarily doesn't happen right away. If you want to learn a new thing, then you need to work at it. You need to, study how to be better at it. And, we were listening to something in the car earlier where they were talking about your mindset and how the way that you think controls basically like your actions, controls the way you act, your attitude, the way you speak to people. And you not necessarily thinking like, okay, this thought is going to make me act this way. You don't think about it that way. So you just think all these crazy things, and then you're acting all crazy or reacting to situations. So when we are thinking on purpose, then we're able to just make sure that we're practicing, to be better, children of God, better husbands, better wives, better moms, better dads. So one of the things that I want to ask you is, what is one of the things that you've seen that you've been having to like adjust in your mindset? And I want people to hear this, because I feel that it's important for people to understand that even though we're called to do something, or God's in us, around us, through us, all over us, like there's still the human part of us that still has difficult times being like aligning with what God needs from us, because it's our flesh, it's our emotions,
I guess the two things that come to mind are, one is internal and the other is external. So the external one, I'll just say it because it'll be just very brief, is that I feel like God is allowing me to be placed in situations that are like testing my patience. And in a previous life, right? I would get really angry really fast, and then I would just lash out about it, and or say things or do things that are irrational in order for me to express my anger, and you know what I'm saying. And so recently we kind of been dealing with the situation. I won't go into all the details because it's still kind of fresh, but just having to deal with somebody outside of our relationship that is upsetting, right? It's making me angry. And so I feel like God is allowing me to be in those situations, because if we're going to be here preaching this message, if we're going to be here, and supposedly being a representative of the kingdom, then I have to be able to represent well. Yeah. And so me throwing tantrums or, having a fit, that's not going to help our cause. Yeah. And that's precisely the opposite of what we want to represent. Not just us as a relationship, but all this work that we're about to do, and going out into public and going out to the community and putting ourselves out there in the name of Christ. Yeah. So we have to be able to be that, right? A representative of the kingdom. And so if I'm going to represent Jesus, then I need to also work on my character. I have to be meek. I have to be humble. And just because I get upset, it doesn't mean that I have the right to lash out like a kid, that's throwing a fit because they didn't get what they wanted. But that's how it feels a lot, and I'm really struggling with that. And it's not a struggle because I'm doing it, right? Yeah. That's not the struggle. The struggle is having to be called out by the conviction that I feel through the Holy Spirit and be like, oh, you're right. Like, can we just put it on pause for just a minute? I go act a fool, and then I'll come back and everything's going to be all right. Time in. But, and so that's the external thing that's going on. The internal thing is not having structure at all. Figuring out how to make my day valuable to the point where I feel productive. When I don't feel productive, I feel like I'm a burden on everybody and everything. Mm-hmm. And so I'm used to just like going and going and going. And then now that I'm not going, it's really weird. And so it's not because there's a lack of things to do.
I was I got a list, guys.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff to do. But here's the thing, like not all of it is what I want to do. Right? So I think in my head, I have this list of things that I want to accomplish. And then when I open my eyes, I don't even get to open my eyes when I want to. It's like the alarm, the cat, the dog, the kids.
No joke, guys. No joke. Seriously.
And so something is demanding of my time.
Like bossing you? Do you feel like it's like bossing you around?
No, not even bossing me around, because I'm a dad, like there are obligations, and I understand that I'm a husband. Like none of that is bothersome per se, but what I'm saying is that the idea of me accomplishing at least my own list, my own to-do list, at least one thing, but most of the time it doesn't happen. Even if it's, I want to go out and I need to go run an errand. But what that means is that I have to get in the car and leave, right? Mm-hmm. If I leave, I'm not available to help you out.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need me to help you out. You can't get up, or you need me to help you get dressed, that stuff. And then it takes time. And then by the time that happens, I'm home now. So then as people are waking up, it's like Lily's like, Dad, I need help with this, or I need you to do that. And so then the demands of the day start piling up. And so what happens is I find myself, pushing what I wanted to get done aside, because the reality is can I say I can't run to the store, tomorrow? Mm-hmm. No, I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So then what happens is in my mind, it's like, okay, now I'm being lazy, because what I could get done today, I should do it today instead of putting it off for tomorrow. Now I'm procrastinating. And now the things that I need to get done are not going to get done. It's like this cycle. Yeah, like a different type of vicious cycle. And it's not that I'm not getting things done. It's I'm not getting things done based on the list that I had in my head. So that kind of messes me up. And that's probably the biggest challenge right now. And yeah.
So like I was just like hearing him say like the part of like, in my head, like I want to have this done. And a lot of the times when, and the only reason that I say this is because just dealing with this whole thing with my back, like nothing that I want to do is I can do. Like I can't. I want to do this, or I want to do that, to the point where it gets like almost immediately, if I don't check my thoughts, like how I was saying, like I can just start crying because it's so overwhelming, because I can't tell my body, like, even go to the restroom. Let's go, get up. Yeah. Let's go do that. Something simple that you guys can just get up and go. And I'm like, can somebody come help me, please? Like, I need help. Yeah. So something so simple. So I've had to literally like work on my mindset so hard to tell it like, okay, Vanessa, you can't do that, but you can do this. So be content with that. And I think telling your brain to be content with the smallest of things, that's the most difficult thing to do, because you literally have to tell your flesh, like, you're not important. And that's crazy. Like, and what I mean by that is to say, like, Vanessa, your ego of that, you can't just do it on your own. Like, it's fine. Like, Vanessa, the part where you don't look the same walking with the cane than with that one, you're fine. You know what I mean? Or like, Vanessa, you can't go and walk and go help your daughter and sit next to her, but she can come to the bed, so you're fine. Yeah. Like all of those things. So, and then those parts, like the struggle of knowing that, like the mentality part, or that fight or back and forth, like I've had to understand that I have to think on purpose. Like my thoughts have to be on purpose.
Be intentional.
Yeah, I have to be intentional with what I think. So the moment that, and I've heard this before and it really like struck me, where it says that Satan throws a bait out every single time, because every morning you wake up and you're like, happy Monday, happy Tuesday, it's a good day, whatever. And Satan's like, all right, I have my minions. Where's my minions? Okay, we got this list, and this is how you're gonna attack Joe. This is how you're gonna attack Vanessa.
Yeah.
And and here goes the baits are thrown out. And what I mean by baits is you literally almost see a movie of things that are happening, either about yourself or about the situation. Like if it's already happening, like if you're saying like, dang, I'm worthless or this or whatever, like you're not telling that to yourself. Like that's Satan making sure that he's throwing out baits. And the moment that you accept it, then it's over. Like you're going to sit there, you're going to camp out and sit there, and then your day is ruined. So I've had to understand is like when those thought process or that movie plays out in my head of me being crippled for the rest of my life or getting a wheelchair by next year, like I have to say like, one, it's not a fact. Two, it doesn't go with God's word. And God's word is that his plan is not to harm me, but to give me a hope and a future. So none of those go together. So which one am I going to believe? And then
So are you saying that it's impossible for you to, because I don't want to make it sound like you're going to end up in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, so you're in your mindset, are you saying that it's not possible that could happen, or are you telling yourself that that's not a fact right now, so don't waste my time in that
it's
thought?
not a fact right now.
Gotcha.
Like tomorrow, if God decided he wanted to heal me, he can heal me. In a year, I might be dead. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I got you.
That's not here right now. So why am I going to cry over, a fact that's not here, that's not happening. It's not real right now.
Yeah.
So like, and that's my point. Like all the things that we want to do, whether it's being positive, whether we want to be structured, whether we want to, be a better husband, better wife, like you're not going to be that way tomorrow just because you wish it or because you want it. Like everything takes time, and you have to invest in what you like, how you want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to learn, and instead of just taking the bait every time of that, you're never going to get there, you can't do it, or whatever it is Satan is telling you, like don't take the bait and just work hard and, doing what it is that is in your heart, and don't trust on your strength, trust on God's strength.
Yeah.
That he can get you there, that he can help you, and you fail, then you get up and you do it again. That's why God says my mercies are new every day, because we get to do it all over again. The moment that we say, God, I'm sorry I screwed up, you get to do it again. But say for you, for example, you're having a rough day and you're just like, you camp out and you sit there, like that's going to suck for you and for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you have a choice. I have a choice, and I think that I wanted people to hear that is because we're both two different people struggling with two different things here. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's two different things.
Well, I mean, and it just looks different, but it's the same,
Yeah, I have to acknowledge that because, now it makes sense why I don't get no sympathy.
Yeah.
Because you're like 10 steps ahead of me, in a sense. Mm-hmm. And I apologize because I haven't really sat down and thought about that, about how, I see it every day, like every time I help you or every time you need help or you ask me for something, but it's weird. It's almost like I just didn't acknowledge that. And so now that I don't have structure, and I'm pouting over the things I didn't get to do on my list, there are things every day that are on your list that you didn't get to do, and you've managed that, and you manage it really well. And so I would say, I think that part of the reason why you're able to do that is because you do every day, you read and you pray and you worship. I think that's I wouldn't even call it a secret, but that's the recipe, to keep your mind in check, your body in check, your ability to tell your flesh, like, no, this is not the most important thing. And this is not the end of it all. Mm-hmm. This is a part of a process that is much bigger than right now. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I'm sorry that, I've overlooked that. It feels kind of foolish right now that I'm just understanding, just getting it. It's kind of weird. I've been helping you for so long and I get it. I see that you struggle. I see that there are things that you wish you could do, but I guess I spend more time like trying to just encourage you, like, no, it's fine. It's not going to be like this forever. I'm telling you, it's not going to be like this forever. I guess I'm spending so much time trying to encourage you and just be there that I forget, that you're also an example, so I appreciate that. I love you. Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. That means a lot. That's neat. Like somebody asked me, they messaged me and they said, they're going through a divorce right now, and they're about to like leave the relationship with God. They're about to stop, and they saw me at church, and they're like, because I walked in with the cane, and they were just like, okay, what happened again? And I'm just like, nothing. This is something that's going to happen every 6 months. It just grows back, and whatever is there, it's already there. They just manage the pain, so that's why you get to see me normal for a little bit. Yeah. But it's there, like it'll come back. And they were just like, they didn't really know what to say. So the next day they messaged me and they were like, you know what? Like, I feel really embarrassed right now. I feel embarrassed because I'm over here mad at God, like complaining, and because I'm getting divorced because of my own actions. And yet here, that's not your fault. And, you're over here praising God like, it's nobody's business. It's like, I just feel really embarrassed, and I like, thank you for that. And I just told her, like, you know what? It's crazy that you say that. I go, because it's been 4 years, and a lot of people have told me, like God could heal you if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I say he could. And I don't get mad because he hasn't. Because, like, it's really weird, but because of this situation, like, somebody always has to pay the price for somebody. And as sad as that is, like, somebody has to be stronger. Or, like, how you said, you're 10 steps ahead of me. But if this were to happen to you, like, I don't think you could handle it. You know what I mean? Like, not that you, like, just in a guy to not be able to take, like, almost all the dignity that's left as a man, you know what I mean? Like, to have your wife be, like, it's hard. And I feel like because of that, I've been able to just say, okay, like, this is how it worked. I have to kind of struggle through it. And then I get to tell everybody else, like, okay, God's good because of this. Yeah. And then people say, like, man, I was about to commit suicide. Thanks. I needed that. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. Or, like, man, I was about to, give up on this. Thank you for letting me know not to give up. So what I mean is that somebody, regardless, has to pay the price somewhere. So that way they can encourage you to say, like, don't give up. Like, God works, and again, it's for all God's honor and glory. And as sad as to say that my condition could be for God's honor and glory, it is. Yeah. It really is, because, like, I'm here. We're here. We're living proof that because God, like, is so amazing, like, I'm here and I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm not depressed. I'm not high on anxiety. And I'm in a lot of pain a lot of the time. And, like, and I only find joy in my life because he is who he is, and he, like, allows me to see that. Like, what other kind of God does that? Yeah. Like, that you can have joy through sorrow, through suffering. Like, is that even a thing? Is that real? It is real, So, like, as sad as, people might think or, have pity for me, like, don't have pity for me. Because of this, I found my relationship with God. Because of this, I got closer to God. Because of this, you quit your job. And we get to do things together that we've only dreamt about,
for sure.
So, like, God, through every hard situation that has happened with my health, like, somebody has gotten something out of it. And I'm okay with that. And if I had to do it again, I would. I really would.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like there will be a time, for healing, but it's just not right now. Yeah. And I believe that for two reasons. And this is, again, just working on my mindset, is that we were praying one night, and, every night I pray for Lily and before she goes to bed. And then I was praying, and then at the end of my prayer, just like randomly, she's like, oh, you forgot something. I think this was like maybe 3 weeks ago. And I was like, what do you mean I forgot something? And she's like, you forgot to thank God for mommy's healing. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I did. And so we prayed and we thanked God for your healing. And I just looked at her, and it was like, she just like, okay, good night. Like on to the next thing. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, how you just going to skip over that? But it just reminds me of how Jesus wanted the kids to be allowed to come to him, and he uses the kids as an example in the sense that if we could have that childlike faith, that, things would really be different if we had that kind of faith. And so my first normal response would be to think of all of the reasons why that wouldn't be possible, or why that's just not going to happen right now. And so it just left me like stuck. I was like, yeah, we need to thank God for mom's healing. And then she just was like, okay, good night. And I just went to bed like, what is happening right now? But it was me recognizing my flaw, and not having that childlike faith. And then it was maybe about a week ago or a week and a half ago that I was praying, and I was listening to, just in my prayer, I was just kind of being aware of like, God, if you want to say something to me, just say it. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading, and it just so happened that what I was reading, all I could hear was just not yet. It's just not time yet. And what's weird is I don't even remember which verse I was reading exactly, but I remember that the people of Israel were crying out like God, like, when is this going to end? Like, when are you going to hear our cry? When are you going to come and rescue us? And in the end, God does, and God did. Yeah. But it was like God was telling them, not yet. They had to go through some things in order for them to have their mindset where it needed to be. And so I'm right now just all about learning the lesson. Like, I don't want to stay in this grade any longer than I have to, I'm here to learn, everybody.
Give me a highlighter, people.
Yeah. And so I'm like, God, you show me what I need to learn so I can move on to the next thing, please. But in all seriousness, I am just, my heart is open, my mind is open. I'm reading, I'm praying. I'm getting to read more than I've read in the past. Yeah. And part of it is just because it's just my mindset, and in the morning I'm reading, and in the morning when, instead of just reading a verse or two, I'm reading a chapter because I like it, and I know that I don't have the restraint of, okay, I woke up late, so I got to cut everything short. It's like I get to finish my reading till I'm satisfied with what I've read, and knowing that I have that time committed to God. So I think in this process, as far as growth in my mindset, I'm really working on focusing on the things that God would have me focus on. Even to the point where I heard this message, and it was just talking about how Satan attacks our minds. Mm-hmm. And if I really think about it, it's almost the way my mind is set right now. It's almost like everything is a distraction. Mm. If it doesn't have to do with what God is calling us to do, it's a distraction. If, that fighting over the toothpaste cap not being where it's supposed to be, like, that's a distraction, from us loving each other or having a moment of happiness. Me getting frustrated because, I don't know, the kids need one more thing, after they've already asked 10 times for something. That's a distraction from me being a loving father. Mm. And being a loving father many times is the way that our kids reflect on who God is. We can't say God is a loving father and try to get our kids to understand that if I'm not a loving father, like, I will taint or disrupt the image of God that I want them to have. Yeah. So it's just things like that. I'm reevaluating my attitude, and me when I feel like I'm getting angry or when I feel like frustration is rising up within me. I'm like reevaluating, like, is this worth it? Is this response warranted based on the situation? And, like everything else I do, 99.9% of the time, it's not the right response. It's just me either getting in my head, getting upset, overreacting, something. But it's really neat to know that God is still working on me. You know, I'm not a finished product yet.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
And I think that that's probably the neatest thing that, like, as a Christian, like, and if these Christians, and I'm saying these Christians because there's so many of us Christians, but ones that don't really, and I mean, of course, nobody's going to be telling you all their flaws because, you know, it's just people don't do that. I mean, you don't even tell somebody that you're having marital problems because just people don't like to talk about anything.
Yeah, you don't want to look bad in front of others. Yeah,
you don't want to look bad in front of the others. So it just looks bad when somebody is like preaching something but doing something else. You know, like it just it makes people like wait a minute. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that sometimes it's neat to be able to be so transparent because you get to know, like, guys, you're not the only one. Like, we're all human.
Yeah, I hope you guys are getting that through this message.
I'm like, you better be getting this through this message because I ain't hearing my PJs for nothing.
Yeah, it's either that or like, why am I listening to these fools? They got so many problems.
Oh my gosh. No, but really, you know, you just like it's not that it's, you know, you might think like I don't know, like some people say like, oh yeah, you guys are just like too perfect. Like, no, nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. Nobody is perfect in this world. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many years you've been a pastor. I don't care how many years you've been, like, unless you're walking on water next to Jesus, like you're not. Mm-hmm. You're not perfect because we have our flesh that literally we have to like kill every single day. Yep. And that's a choice. It's not easy.
That's right.
So, you know, like, and maybe like 50% of the time, maybe you're crucifying your flesh and saying, no flesh, you're not important, you know, like God's word's more important, but it's rare, you know, it's really rare. But it doesn't mean that you're in the same level. You're just always leveling up.
That's right.
Like always leveling up. So just think about it. Like what he's saying is just like my issues right now is that I have to be more positive. You know what I mean? Like that's your issue versus saying like, I don't know, 20 years ago, it's like my issue is that I'm not going sleeping around with somebody and then, you know, leaving babies all over the place or dying and drinking. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the same. Like, so every time you're literally leveling up to a different place and your life is a lot better.
Wow.
You can edit that out.
You guys hear the roasting that's going on right now? Like the backhanded roasting that's happening right now?
You can so edit that out.
No, that's not getting edited out. We're getting roasted together.
It's too late, guys. It's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's late.
And there's tea in here, okay? There's nothing else going on here other than coffee and tea. But, you know, it's anyways. But that's just what I mean. It just, don't get discouraged because you're not where you're at. You're never going to be where you're at. Just lower your standards and just work literally.
Yeah, forgive yourself.
You know, like just work daily on just being, how do you say it? Like purposeful with your thoughts, you know, working in just making sure that you're choosing life for your spirit versus negativity versus bitterness versus anger. Like just work daily, little by little. And just because you're working on it doesn't mean that you're going to get there like by the end of the night. Like it's going to take time. But as you take time, that's the awesome part about it. That's the awesome part of the journey. That you just, now you enjoy things a little bit different because you're working on those things. And then the next time God's going to tell you, now I want you to work on this. And now I'm going to work on this. And it's not because it's not like he doesn't love you for who you are, but it's because he wants you to have this life, and he can only work with this version of you, and he can get you to this place. And in this place where he has for you, it's a certain version of yourself. And you can't get there if you don't work on all of these things that are holding you back, that are chaining you to your past, or, you know, the issues, the traumas. Like, God has so much freedom here. You can't see where I'm pointing at, but, you know, it's farther than where you're at now. Just let's say it like that.
That's right.
But anyways, we love you guys. We're back. And For the people that watch us to the end, you guys are our people. We love you guys. And, even though probably half of this was gibberish, it's so late. But anyways, we love you. And we'll close off with a prayer. Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to just ask for you guys' prayer support. Vanessa's going to be going through another procedure. We're going to be meeting with some people here local.
Yeah.
That are going to help us get one step closer to our goal of helping out, with our nonprofit. So it's not finalized yet. We're about maybe a week away from it. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, we'll be able to hopefully do more. We're going to be looking for resources. We're going to be looking for outlets that can help us connect with the right people.
Yeah. That
will, be a positive support so that we can do our part and really just prayer, just that I believe that what's happening with Vanessa has a lot to do with just a spiritual burden, an attack. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like for prayer to just that she be protected and that she be guarded mentally and emotionally. And as far as her physical health, we're doing everything that we can. She's doing everything that she can possibly do to take care of herself. And so we just rely on God for the stuff that we can't control.
Yeah, for sure.
But your prayer support really does mean a lot. And if you make it this far through the episode, any comments, just let us know that you're praying for us. And that really is encouraging. And that's probably the biggest help that we could have right now.
Yeah.
All right. So if that's it, then you want to pray?
Sure. God, we just come before you and we thank you. We thank you for just another time that we get to just talk about how great you are and how much we need you in our lives. I just ask that, the other person that's on the other end of this podcast, that you just be with them in this moment and helping them to understand, Lord, that even though they might not be where they want to be, Lord, you are moving in their life in this moment, that you are putting people in their life to just be able to help them and guide them to change mindsets, to change the way of thinking, the way that they feel inside, that you're just moving in a special way in their life. Help them to be able to see you, help them to be able to hear your voice clearly, to be able to hold on to your word and your promises that you have for them. Help them to be covered, from all of Satan's attacks. Help them to be able to just hold on to you and what you have for them in the future, and to believe in the love that you have for them and your faithfulness. We love you, we glorify your name, and we thank you for just life and for friends and for what you're doing in our life.